What's going on, my Century Gunnets? It's the Sentiment here. So this is my review of TNA Victory Road 2004, the first ever TNA pay-per-view. Before we get to this TNA pay-per-view review, this is the first TNA pay-per-view review on this channel for, I think it was nearly a year. I think it was. Yeah, like it'd be 1 year in, I think it was June or July of last year. I don't know. Anyway, so the backstory, the first like TNA or slash Impact Wrestling pay-per-view I review on this channel, I think it was Slammiversary 2019. It's been a long time. It's been almost 4 years. I remember I reviewed Unbreakable 2019. Then 1 year later, I got the Impact Plus app. Still got it to this day. If you don't know, why is Impact Plus? Impact Plus is Impact Wrestling's version of the WWE Network. I decided to review some classic TNA shows. And then I kind of gave up on the concept, the segments. I do it in a random order. It's the same format when I review some classic WCW slash NWA shows and classic WWE pay-per-views. And last year I decided to bring it back, reboot the series, delete all my TNA pay-per-views I review on this channel instead of the 2019 shows, and then, still have that same problem. And then once again delete, because last year I reviewed TNA Lockdown 2009, Slammiversary 2005, and No Surrender 2007. Yeah, I delete all those videos. And then like this year I did like a faulting poll. Should I review it in a correct order? Should I review in a random order? Like doing it like going back and forth throughout the timeline of TNA and Impact Wrestling. But I slept on it, and it got me thinking. Yeah, let's review it in the correct order. This show to the present day. So anyway, so that's the backstory. So let's review TNA Victory Road 2004. So this show was at the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida on the 7th of November 2004. The attendance of the show was 700. I done my research on the pay-per-view buys for the show. Victory Road 04 received about 25,000 pay-per-view buys. I'm not gonna bash the buy rates for TNA. They never produce really good buy rates in that 100,000 mark, the same as WCW and WWE and some standpoints of AEW. AEW's buy rates are really good. I think it's that 100,000 mark. But TNA never produced that high buy rates. I think the highly bought TNA pay-per-view in history was Lockdown 2008. I think that show received about 55,000 pay-per-view buys. Wow. But so they're never getting to that 100,000 mark. It's just never going to happen. Anyway, so the commentators for the show are Mike Tenay and the late Don West on commentary. So this, like I said, is the first TNA pay-per-view, because 2004 was a transformation period for TNA because they stopped doing weekly pay-per-views. They've been doing weekly pay-per-views since the formation of TNA in June of 2002. At this moment in time, I think it was in September, August or September, or maybe October. No, I think it was September. They decided to stop doing it. They debuted their weekly show called Impact, and then they're soon to become Impact Wrestling. It was on the Fox Sports Network. It's like 15 years before SmackDown moved to Fox, and then the following years, Impact, moved to Spike TV, and the rest is history. And I think it's decided to not doing the weekly pay-per-view format. They're going into a standard pay-per-view format. Doing one pay-per-view a month. Same as WWE is doing it at this moment in time and to this day. So anyway, that's a bit of a backstory of it. So yeah, this is the first ever pay-per-view, and also let's go in the backstory of Victory Road. This is the first and only time that a Victory Road pay-per-view take place in November. The next time they do a Victory Road pay per view will be in 2006, 2 years later in July. I'm guessing Victory Road is basically their answer to the Great American Bash. You can tell by the American flag on the poster. I'm guessing, between '06 to 2010, Victory Road became a July pay per view for TNA, and then the final two pay per views, as a pay per view for Victory Road, they moved it to March. Destination X in July. They switch it around. Then yeah, the last TNA Victory Road pay per view they ever done was in 2012. Then they decided to they kind of turn Victory Road into a special episode on Impact Wrestling, and then they decide to like turn Victory Road in. Yeah, they kind of brought it back as a one night only event, and now they brought it back as the special monthly event on the Impact Plus app. Glad they bring it back. Not as a pay per view, but as a super card show. So it's just what it is. So anyway, anyway, so before we get to the matches on the card, so we got about 9 matches on the card, 3 championship matches on the show. So yeah, it's funny, like Impact, yeah, they stopped doing the weekly pay-per-views, and then just go back to I'm not going back to just going into that pay-per-view format, doing one pay-per-view a year or month. My apologies, and also doing the weekly show Impact, in you could tell like 2004 was the development process for TNA. I think 2005, the mid 2000s really like it's really the golden years of TNA. And then it's funny. It's really disappointing how the company kind of declined in the next but the next 5 or 6 years. Going into the next decade, it kind of went back a bit. In the late 2010s, but it's just it's not going to be the same it once was. In the current Impact Wrestling era, it's just never going to happen. But anyway, so let's talk about the matches on the card. So, like I said, 9 matches on the show. The first match to kick off the first TNA pay-per-view. This is a 20-man X Division gauntlet match for the X Division Cup. So the competitors in this gauntlet match, it's basically a battle royal. So we got Kazarian, Sanjay Dutt, Puma, LA Park. LA Park is former Le Parker in WCW. The reason why I have to change his name because of the copyright issues, because WWE owns the rights of WCW. Jarrell Clark, I'm gonna butcher this. Miyamoto. Yeah, Miyamoto. Sorry, I can't really pronounce his name properly. Michael Shane, at the time, teaming up with Kazarian, the cousin of Shawn Michaels. Hector Garza, the uncle of Angel Garza and Humberto Carrera. Nasawa, Mikey Batts, who was in TNA for a bit, then ended up going to WWE. Not like he never wrestled on the main roster for Raw and SmackDown, but in the developmental territory, in Deep South Wrestling, then OVW, then he got released, and I think he ended up pursuing a career in MMA. Alex Shirley and Chris Sabin, future members of the Motor City Machine Guns. Matt Sydal, the future Evan Bourne. Sonny Siaki, Jason Cross, Shark Boy before he's doing the Steve Austin impersonation gimmick. Psychosis, Day Ray, 3000, Mason Red, Spanky, the former Brian Kendrick. Just Brian Kendrick. I already said Chris Sabin. So anyway, this was good. I really liked this match. This is the pacing of the match was fine. This has lasted about 25 minutes. And this is peak X Division in TNA. Mid 2000s was peak X Division because they produced a really good division. They had the Cruiserweight division at the time. Guys like Mysterio, Chavo Guerrero, and Jamie Noble. TNA with the X Division with AJ Styles, P.T. Williams, Chris Sabin, Amazing Red. It has that international feel. In those mid 2000s X Division, guys from Mexico and Japan, and also the announcers brought that they brought the the World X Cup. This came off from the World X Cup. I think it's called the World X Cup. It's basically TNA's version of the World Cup. It's the World Cup of wrestling. They did a World Cup back in 2018. Flop. The only wrestling company did a really good World Cup was World Culture World Culture Pro Wrestling / Defiant Wrestling. This is like 2017. They produced a really good World Cup tournament. So anyway, this was really good. They showcased what they can do. One more of it though. It's like one more of the match. Like Alex Shelley, somebody like he's teasing like he injured his back in this match, but he was playing possum. Eliminated Matt Sydal. So the final two was Kazarian and Hector Garza. I'm trying to keep it short and simple, folks. In the end, Garza was going for the corkscrew moonsault. Kazarian rolled up. I think he rolled up Garza with the cradle. I think it was a cradle. Yeah, he rolled up Kazarian. Kazarian rolled up Garza with the cradle, but Garza counted into a roll up for the win. Garza won this match and won the X Division Cup. So I think the announcers brought that the winner of this match will get a shot at the X Division title. Done my research. Hector Garza never got a shot at the X Division title. It's a shame. And also, he died at a pretty young age. He died at the age of 33 in 2013. He died of lung cancer. It's a real shame. Anyway, but besides that, really good. I don't really do star ratings when I do my wrestling pay-per-view reviews. I give it I give it basic 4 stars. I think I give it 4 stars. It's one of the best matches on the show. It showcased what they can do of the X Division. Showcase it's fast paced. It's really good. Like it's the heyday of the X Division. It's a good way to get the fans excited for the rest of the show. So let's move on to the next match of the card. So the next match of the card, this is an 8-man tag team match. So we got the heels of that. It's the Naturals. That is Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens. They'll be soon later managed by Chris Candido. That was around 2005. This is before Chris Candido died the following year. They team up with Kid Cash and Dallas. Dallas is Lance Hoyt, the future Lance Archer in WWE, and Lance Archer right now in AEW. They take on the babyface team of Ron Killings, or Ron the Truth Killings, the future R-Truth in WWE. Eric Watts. Eric Watts is the son of legendary promoter Bill Watts. Johnny B. Bad, that's the former Mark Merrow in WWE/WWE. Going back to his Johnny B. Bad character in WCW. I think he got the rights of the character, because at the time, like I said, to this day, they own the rights of WCW. I'm glad Merrow kept his WCW gimmick. And Pat Kenny. Pat Kenny is former Simon Diamond in ECW, and also he's wrestling at this moment in time with his real name. He'll soon go back to becoming Simon Diamond later on in his career. I think it's around 2005-ish, but at the time he was wrestling with his real name, Pat Kenny. He'll soon to become, I think he's become a producer in TNA, and also I think he's one of the producers in the NWA right now in our current timeline. So the match was okay for what it is. It's just sizzle but not steak. It's just anything amazing about it. It's just kind of there. It's good to see Mark Merrow showcase what he can do. And it's really like I've done my research. At this moment in time, I think it's in that certain time period. In 2004, Mark Merrow divorced his wife Sable. They've been together for 10 years. At this moment in time, right now, Sable is now currently married to Brock Lesnar. Johnny B. Bad, Mark Merrow, whatever you call him, even though he's in his 40s, you could say past his prime. He did have a good showcase in this match. It's really it's very impressed that Mark Merrow's wrestling in mid 2000s TNA. He's most associated in WCW and the WWF. Anyway, so in the end, Truth got the victory. I'm gonna call him the Truth, not our Truth. Yeah, Ron Killings hit. I think it was Chase Stevens with a double. I think it is a double. It was a double underhook DDT. It's similar to Triple H's pedigree. You know, Triple H's pedigree is the knees down. Truth did it with with a, I think it's a glorified facebuster to win this match for his team. Like I said, I feel like this is beefing up. This is basically trying to beef up the card. There was no build, trying to get everyone on the show. It's just what it is. So yeah. And by the way, Ron the Truth Killings is one half of Free Light Crew. I'll get to the Free Light Crew later on in this review. So anyway, yeah, let's talk. Before we get to the next match of the show, there's one segment I'm going to talk about. You know, this is Piper's Pit. I don't know if they call it Piper's Pit at this moment in time because I think it's like I said, Piper's Pit is WWE's creation. Anyway, you got Roddy Piper. You know, This is a brief. You're only there for the cup of coffee because he ended up going back to the WWE a year later, you know, to get inducted into the WWE, working with the company until his death 10 years later at the age of, I think it was in his, was it 60, 61? Anyway, so his guest of Piper's Pit, I'm going to call it Piper's Pit, is Superfly Jimmy Snuka. He kind of put over Snuka like he's the original X Division wrestler. Brings up when Snuka did that 25 meters drop off the steel cage, you know, the splash off the top cage. Back in, was it 1982, that inspired Mick Foley to become a professional wrestler, to get into the wrestling business. Anyway, and also Piper trying to make Snuka hit him with the coconut. So basically going back to 1984 when Piper hit Jimmy Snuka over the head with the coconut. He wants to like hit him with the coconut. You know, he kind of put the coconut in the hands of Jimmy Snuka. Snuka don't want to do it. You know, Piper was trying to egg him on. He couldn't do it. Then out comes Kid Cash. By four Kid Cash, I never get the appeal of Kid Cash, you know. I think he's bang average, you know. That's the problem. He never got up in the card in every company he's been in, ECW, WWE, TNA. He's just never got the chops, you know. Okay wrestler, but he just... It's funny, like in 2012, he had that Hawkeye haircut, you know, reminds me of like an ugly version of Jeremy Renner. I think Jeremy Renner is about... I don't think he's the same height. I think he's a bit taller than Kid Cash, you know. But anyway, so he came out. He's basically belittle Jimmy Snuka, says like, you know, you're the man who fall off a 25 meters cage. Where are you when I did my 25-foot hurricanrana through tables? You know, you may be a legend. You cannot lace my jock strap, you know. Anyway, so he said like, I'm gonna say for the X Division right now. He basically attacked Jimmy Snuka. Snuka hit Kid Cash with a coconut. Then you got Kazarian and Michael Shane come around. My apologies. I need a drink, by the way. I'm gonna say again. Kazarian and Shane, they came down to the ring, beat down Snuka. Cash, Shane, Kazarian beating down Snuka. Piper didn't really do anything. This is turning to be a clusterfuck. I'll get to more shortly. Then out comes Sanjay Dutt, took out both Kazarian and Michael Shane with a double dropkick off the top rope. Then Kid Cash used the coconut to hit Sanjay Dutt over the head. Then you got the paramedics and basically coming down to the ring, and the announcer's selling it like not Jimmy Snuka. Sanjay Dutt has been killed on pay-per-view. And before that, you had Piper taking off his leather jacket, trying to go after Kid Cash. Kid Cash fled. It's a way to put over Kid Cash, even though like the dude is bang average. Never got the appeal, so this Piper Pit segment was a bit of a clusterfuck, you know. I don't mind the Piper's Pit segment at WrestleMania 21 the following year. Yeah, you had Carlito coming around. You know, at least it kind of, in certain degree, kind of served a purpose. This did not, it was pointless. I say it once, I say it twice, I say it many more times. You know, this segment came across a segment you probably see on. They should have done it on Impact Wrestling. Why are you doing a segment killing, wasting pay-per-view times? Wrestling pay-per-views designed to, it's basically the wrestling matches take center stage. People spend a lot of money at the time. They don't want to see segments. They want to see, if they want to see wrestling segments, they'll probably watch a weekly wrestling show. It's just like I said, didn't serve any purpose. It's just a cheap way to get Kid Cash over. And also Shane and Kazarian they didn't look pissed. Saying I'm not getting involved, something like that. This is after Sanjay Dutt got smacked over the head with the coconut. It's just like, really? They're selling it like Sanjay's dead. He's still alive to this day. It's just like, really? Cheapy. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is a midget, not midget, but a mini luchador match. We got Mascarita Sagada taking on Paeta Morgan. Midgets, folks. I see. I see a lot of midget wrestling. When I covered the WWF in 1997. Now they're doing it a mini midget luchador in mid 2000s TNA. Vince Russo, Vince Russo, Vince Russo. This match sucked. I do not like this match. I'm glad they keep it short. I think it's the second shortest match of the show. It's just like it didn't really serve a purpose. Feel like a match you probably see on Impact, but not on a pay-per-view that at the time you're spending a lot of money. I feel like it's just filling the card for the show, trying to get everyone on the show. This was getting goofy. One more of the match, Piata Morgan, hit Scarada. Yeah, Scarada. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Scarada with some kind of move. Was it a senton? I don't know. And he's acting like Scarada got killed. He's checking, Piata Morgan was checking his pulse, listen to his heart. And the referee really hurt this match a lot. It's not the worst, but it's stupid. You had the referee also checking Scarada's pulse. Both Morgan and the referee were praying. This is getting stupid. He came back, and then I think the referee took a bump or some kind of invisible like arm drag. This is getting stupid. In the end, Scarada pins Morgan. I think it was a cradle or a pin or roll up for the win. Yeah, I'm glad they keep it short and simple. For me, the referee put this really put off this match, man. Sometimes I don't like these midget matches. For the mini luchadors. No disrespect, man. It just don't really serve any purpose. That's my 2 cents on it. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is the first of 3 championship matches on the show. We got 2 members represent Team Canada. That is Eric Young and Bobby Roode, with Scott D'Amore in the corner of Roode and Young. They're defending the NWA World Tag Team Championships against the Free Light Crew. The 2 wrestlers represent Free Light Crew are BB James. BB James is the former Road Dogg Jesse James in the WWF, and Conan. So this is in the middle of Team Canada's first reign as the NWA World Tag Team Champions. They defeat, I think it was a freeway match. They show like a video package. It was kind of like a freeway. They beat, I think it was a freeway. Roode and Storm won this match, and then Free Light Crew defeated. I think they defeat Triple H. I think it was weeks after Team Canada won the tag team title belts. Free Light Crew defeat, I think it was Triple X, to get a shot at the NWA World Tag Team Champions, Team Canada, I think. Anyway, so this match between Free Light Crew versus Team Canada, I'm really shocked about the timing of this match. It only lasted about 6 minutes. I feel like this match was a bit rushed. They're hyping out like this is old versus young, because Roode and Young are the young talent. They'll supercom future TNA World Champions. And Free Light Crew are the old guys. Free Light Crew, you got BB James, former WWF guy. and Conan, who used to be a former WCW guy. Yeah, Conan never like I don't think yeah Conan never wrestled in the WWF. It's a really shame. Anyway, so the match was fine. Some people give it 2 stars. I give it like 3.5. I think it's a weaker championship matches. Oh, the weaker championship match on the show. Um, but I don't really say a bad match or an okay. I don't really put it in the okay. I'll put it briefly in the good. I'll get to my overall thoughts of the show at the end. It was short in my opinion. I thought it was 10 minutes long. I wish they had more time. They started to have a good match. It was a decent good match. Like BB Jane's got got some heat. Not heat. He got like he started out being down the heels, and then one more in the match, BB James trying to hit Eric Young with some kind of splash. He got out of the way, and James kind of fought out of the ring. Then Team Canada was working on BB James, stopping Conan doing the hot tag. I kind of like that. Scott D'Amore trying to hit. I think he trying to hit. I think it was. Before that, you had Rude and Eric Young. The referee. Conan was arguing with the referee. Uh, Team Canada's teammates, Young and Rude, they grabbed the Canadian flag. I think it was the I think it was a flagpole. I don't think it's the actual flagpole because they use. It's funny they use their hockey sticks as flagpoles if you follow the run of Team Canada and TNA. Anyway, they're trying to use the flagpole, but I think BB James stopped them. I think he kind of like got out of the way, hit Rude and Young with a double knocker. Then later on, D'Amore was going to hit BB James with the I think it's what the tag team title belt. Out comes Ron the Truth Killings, chased off Scott D'Amore. Bobby Roode hit BB James with the Northern Lariat. It's a shame he never used that move. I think it was his finisher at the time, his original finisher at the time. He didn't do that ever again, the Northern Lariat, when he was part of Beer Money with James Storm, or when he was the it factor of professional wrestling, when he was the world champion, several years later. Anyway, he hit BB James in the back of the head with the Northern Lariat. He's about to hit Conan with the move, but instead I think he got away, hit the K Factor onto Bobby Roode to win this match, and Free Light Crew won the NWA Tag Team Championship for the second time. They were Tag Team Champions before, they won the belts the previous year. Yeah, it's for me, I think it was cool to see it's a good moment, there was there was pyro in the top of the rafters, It was a good feeling, but besides that, do Free Like Crew really need to get the win? Probably not. I think it was just, it's just kind of like a way to get like it's a way to have like I think it's by the way, this is the first and only title change on the show. It's just what it is, I'm not gonna crap on it too much, I wish like I said, I wish they had more time of it. I wish they had like be like a 10, 12 minutes or even a 15 minutes match. But yeah, even though Road Dodger James is not really a good worker, but I think he did fine in this match. It's funny. Oh yeah, I looked on Wikipedia. It was Rude and Young won the tag team titles from Christopher Daniels and Jane Storm. One half, Daniels at the time was one half of Triple X. Storm was one half of America's Most Wanted. We'll get to those tag teams later on in this on this review. So Free Like Crew never hold the belts that long because they end up dropping the belts back to Team Canada the following month at Turning Point in December. So I'm glad they didn't got the belts that long. It only lasted technically about 1 month. It's not like they're holding. It's for the best, man. So, and also at the same time, it's kind of like pointless at the time. What's the point? I hate this sometimes. What's the point? Have them win the belts, weeks prior, knowing they're going to lose the belts on the pay-per-view. It's just what it is. Anyway, so let's move on to the next match. I'll give it like 3.5 stars. It was a good match, but I wish they had more time. So the next match, in my opinion, this is the worst match of the night. Um, so it's worse than the mini luchador match. So the next match we got Stephanie Trinity, one half or representing the New York Connection with Glenn Gilberti. Glenn Gilberti is former Disco Inferno in WCW, and Johnny Swinger, taking on the debut of Jacqueline Moore. They end up changing her name to Jackie Moore. That will be later on in her run in TNA. Trinity's real name, I'll call her Stephanie Trinity because at this moment in time, Trinity Fatu, the former Naomi's about to sign and debut with Impact Wrestling. The original Trinity, Stephanie Finocchio. Sorry, I can't pronounce her name properly. My apologies. I'm in the build up to this. She wants to get in the ring. They're holding her back. She's not a professional wrestler, some shit like that. Vince Russo. We'll get to more of this authority stuff later on in this review. That they decided to put Trinity in a match against a mysterious opponent. Yeah, and that mysterious opponent was Jacqueline Moore. The match was shit. Trinity is shit. Jacqueline or Jackie Moore, whatever you call her, she's a good worker. But she came off, in WWE, spent most of the years in the WWE. Anyway, so with Trinity, she is shit, man. Jacqueline did not really carry her to a passable match. It was just it was the shortest match of the night and the worst match of the night. Trinity hit Jacqueline with crappy. She kind of big boot her into the boob, and then minutes later, or seconds later, she kind of hit Jacqueline with a crappy looking spinning heel kick. She is terrible. She's too green. She's too exposed. In the end, relying on her NYC connection teammates. I think it was Swinger or Gilberti, helping Trinity getting the victory over Jacqueline. She did. She hit Jacqueline with the fall from grace. That's the moonsault for the win. Yeah, this is a stupid way, because what's the point? Jacqueline, came. Jacqueline, this is her first pay-per-view match with the company, and she suffered her first loss in the company. This is pre-knockouts era in TNA. And Trinity is shit. It's like she tried, but she ain't ready, man. She ain't that good, man. At this moment in time, later, here's the aftermath. So, the NYC connection, that's Trinity, Gilberti, Disco Inferno, and Johnny Swinger. They end up being disbanded. Trinity end up being in this storyline rivalry with Tracy Brooks over the position of the PA of the director of the authority of TNA. Then she ended up leaving TNA. She ended up going to the WWE, be part of the developmental territory. I think it was Deep South Wrestling and OVW before getting called up into the main roster when ECW was brought back as the third brand, and she was managing the FBI, and then that's the Full-Blooded Italians for short. And then she got released in 2007, and then she retired from wrestling in 2007. This was months after she got released from the company. So, moving on to the next match. So the next match, this is the first ever Monsters Ball match. The Monster Abyss taking on Raven and the Alpha Male Monty Brown. This, I can't really say match of the night. I'll get to my overall thoughts of the show in the end. But this is a really good match. Monster Balls matches in TNA, they end up being a hit or miss. But this was a good match. This was kind of like a fall brawl. Not fall brawl. My apologies. This was a fun brawl between three guys. You got Abyss and Monty Brown. They're kind of like the uppercut talent. Raven was kind of past his prime at this moment in time, but he kind of hung with the two young guys. Anyway, there was this mysterious guy up in the rafters. The announcers brought up that this is the mysterious spokesman for the Monster Abyss. Anyway, so this was fun to what it is. Like Raven hit I think he hit yeah, I think he hit Abyss with the toe hole onto the chair. He's trying to do it with Monty Brown, but Monty countered it. He gonna throw the chair onto the faces of Abyss and Raven. There was a thumbtack spot. If you watch hardcore matches in TNA over the years, they all have to, do the thumbtack spot. Some people say they overuse the thumbtack spots in any wrestling company. That's debatable. Anyway, so Abyss and Monty Brown will fight on top of they'll fight on top of the top rope, and then Raven is not known for his big power moves. He's more like a brawler. Raven kind of powerbomb Abyss through the piles of the thumbtacks. Got like the holy. I think it was a holy shit TNA chant. I'm trying to keep it short and simple, folks. So in the end, Raven knocked Abyss out of the ring. He went through the table, and Monty Brown hit the pounce onto Raven through the table to win this match. It's a shame for Monty Brown. In this time period, when I go to these TNA reviews in that time period, 04, 05, 06, he stayed until 2006. I think they missed the boat on Monty Brown. I think he's going to be I think he had potential to become TNA's next rising star. He's got that Bobby Lashley, not Brock Lesnar, but a Goldberg type present feel. It's a shame, he ended up like staying in TNA. He was part of Planet Jarrett team, Jeff Jarrett's faction at the time. And then he ended up leaving the company. He ended up getting signed with the WWE. He ended up going to ECW as the third brand. They do nothing in TNA. They changed his name to Marcus Confon, part of the New Breeds, feuding with the ECW originals, and then he ended up leaving not just WWE, but he ended up leaving the business altogether. I think it's due to family problems, family reasons. I think he briefly came back to wrestling briefly. I think he showed up on an indie show. I think it was around 2018. I think I saw a clip. This was years ago, but yeah, it's a shame for Marcus Confon or Monty Brown. What might it be, man? If he stay in TNA, I think he could probably be a TNA World Champion. I think he could have a good feud with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles, but Samoa Joe. But besides that, he's just he got some momentum, and then they snatch him up, and then you never see him ever again in professional wrestling. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is the second of three championship matches on the show. This is for the TNA X Division Championship. P.T. Williams represents Team Canada, defending the X Division Championship with Scott D'Amore in his corner, taking on the Phenomenal One AJ Styles. This is in the middle of P.T. Williams' first reign as the X Division Champion. He won the belt in August. This is at the time when, like I said, this is at the time when TNA is still doing the weekly pay-per-views. This match was really good. I really like this match. This is not an usual normal X Division match. An X Division match is more high spot, fast-paced stuff. You do got the fast-paced stuff, but in this match, it was more technical style wrestling between P.T. Williams and AJ Styles. I think AJ was an amateur wrestler before he became a professional wrestler. There was more technical style, mat style wrestling. There was barely any like high pace, high flying spots. There's one more of the match. AJ did like I think it was a springboard plancha. I think it's called I think it was a springboard plancha. And besides that, it was more technical style wrestling. I knocked this match down a little bit. My only nitpick is too much interference by Scott D'Amore, the captain of Team Canada. He interfered a lot. It really brought this match. Brought this match down, in my opinion. So both AJ and P.T. Williams like countered their finishes. AJ's got the not phenomenal, the Styles Clash. P.T. Williams got the Canadian Destroyer. P was going to hit AJ with the Canadian Destroyer, but AJ countered into it. I think it was an Alabama Slam onto the middle turnbuckle in the corner of the ring. That was good, but in the end, yeah, I think Scott D'Amore trying to interfere AJ Styles, and Pete Williams hit AJ with the Canadian Destroyer off the top rope to win this match and retain the X Division title. I forgot to mention this, before this pay per view, Team Canada got not all the gold, but mostly of the belts, because Young and Rude are the tag team champions, and Pete Williams as the X Division champion. It's really a mixed bag for Team Canada. I think it was a right call because you don't want to see Team Canada leaving the show empty-handed because Rude and Young just lost the NWA World Tag Team titles to Free Like Crew. So it's funny, like they end up having a match they end up like having the rematch in January at Final Resolution, and AJ went on to win the X Division title. He was still in the X Division title, throughout, I think it was until 2006, because great example, the following year he ended up having one of the best or greatest TNA matches of all time. Him, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels at Unbreakable the following year, so you could tell, like, at this moment in time, the X Division was so white hot, it was peak X Division. You got guys like AJ, Petey Williams, Christopher Daniels, they're the one who really put this on the map. So I call it the second or third best match of the night. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, we got Triple X, the team of Triple X. We got the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and Alex Skipper taking on America Most Wanted. That is the Cowboy Jane Storm and Wireman Chris Harris, the future Braden Walker. So this storyline is built around the friction between Triple X, Christopher Daniels, and Alex Skipper. The build up to this, you had Triple X beating down America Most Wanted. I think they attacked and injured Jane Storm's knee. In this match, he was wearing a bandage around his knee. This is under Texas Death Match. This is a last tag team standing match. So the rules in this match is like this. You got to pin your opponent first. If that opponent failed to get up with a count of 10, he'll be eliminated. So this match on paper sounds good, but in reality, it wasn't a terrible match. It was okay-ish, but I think this rule that you have to pin your opponent, then if the opponent failed to get out of the count of 10, he must be eliminated. It really hindered it, man. But it was an okay match, for what it is. The first person got eliminated was James Storm. He got hit in the chair. Daniels hit Storm in the knee. Daniels hit Storm in Storm's injured knee with the chair for the first elimination. He was holding his knee, and then Storm was the first person eliminated. Then Alex Skipper, really caused Daniels. I think he accidentally hit Daniels with a top leg drop. I think it was after Alex Skipper hit like a move off the top rope, and then Harris hit a top rope leg drop. It was a guillotine onto Daniels to eliminate him. So the final two in this match was Alex Skipper and Chris Harris. In the end, Chris Harris hit the Canatonic onto Skipper onto the steel chair to win this match. Afterwards, Triple X beating down American Most Wanted, handcuffed them, and hit them in the backs with the chair. Very worse beat down. I wish they had more bite to this, blooding them up. And anyway, so let's move on to the final segment on the show. They decide who is become TNA's director or authority. They had this really video campaign. Who's going to be the authority figure of TNA? Dusty Rhodes or Vince Russo? Dusty Rhodes won this Fulton poll. He's now the TNA authority director of the company. Vince Russo was still around in TNA at this time, even though he was the booker of the company at this time. But he appeared on TNA programming in the early days throughout the weekly pay-per-view era to the early years on Impact. You imagine Vince Russo managing, not managing, becoming the director of the authority of TNA. I don't think it would be worse than WCW 2000 because at this time TNA was good, better than WCW 2000. That's another story for another time. So, and Dusty announced that in that match between Triple X and America's Most Wanted, that they're going to do a rematch inside of the steel cage the following month at Turning Point. That's another pay-per-view review for another time. So moving on to the main event. So the main event, we got a ladder match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Jarrett, the King of the Mountain, the former Chosen One, defending the belt against the charismatic Enigma, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy won a 4-way elimination tournament to get a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight title, defeat Monty Brown in the final. The build up to this, you had Jeff Jarrett beating down Jeff Hardy in his motel room. You had Scott Hall, going to be in the corner of Jeff Jarrett. Kevin Nash will be in the corner of Jeff Hardy. And the build up throughout the show, the build up to this, like Kevin Nash is not going to show up. You had, Jeff Jarrett tells Shane Douglas, I'll get to Shane Douglas shortly, that Kevin Nash won't be showing up. Then early on the show, there was a segment that Scott Hall made his appearance, saying like Kevin Nash, is not, or Big Sexy we'll call him, is not going to show up. He's not going to be here at the pay-per-view. He end this segment says, let the best Jeff win. And also, let's talk about Shane Douglas. There's segments of Shane Douglas trying to interview who's inside the limousine. There was a limousine driver. It was this tall black guy. It was kind of funny, It's very kind of sad at the same time. Shane Douglas, multiple-time ECW World Champion, former Intercontinental Champion. That's in the 90s. Fast forward in the 2000s, he's now a ring interviewer, or just an interviewer in TNA. I think at this time, he's not really wrestling that much. Anyway, this match between Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy, I can't really call it match of the night. Like I said, it was hard to say which one is really stole the show for this pay-per-view. But besides that, it was a fun main event. But this has got to be a predictable main event. I'll get to the predictable part later on. But this was really good, because Jeff Hardy, he's the master of ladder matches. I think this is one of Jeff Hardy's first high-profile and first pay-per-view match in TNA since he arrived from WWE. He got released from WWE the previous year because he refused to go to rehab. He had a forgettable run in ROH. Anyway, so this is his first high-profile match in the company against Jeff Jarrett. This is Jeff Jarrett's third reign as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and this is still in the middle of the Jeff Jarrett's reign of terror as the NWA World Champion. Funny, we got two companies doing reign of terrors. Jeff Jarrett is at the time was the NWA World Champion. In WWE, you had Triple H as the World Champion. Like Jeff Jarrett as the World Champion didn't really do nothing. When he was the WCW World Champion, they never treat Jeff Jarrett as a main eventer. He didn't feel like a main eventer, like a proper World Champion. It felt like he's a mid-carder holding the world title belt. It's just what it is. He didn't really break away from the mid-card properly. So that's the reason why people cannot take Jeff Jarrett seriously as a world champion, as a main eventer. Anyway, so the match was fun for what it is, good fun spots, Like, there was one spot, this is a seesaw spot. Like, Jeff Hardy did like a leg drop off the top rope onto a ladder. That ladder kind of hits Jeff Jarrett in the face. It's the same spot what Jeff will do 2 years later at Armageddon 06. He did that same spot. I call it a seesaw spot. It's basically in the position of as a seesaw. Jeff Hardy did that spot towards Joey Mercury. That led to Joey Mercury injured his face. Glad Jeff Jarrett did not broke his face in this time around in 2004. Hardy hit the Swanton Bomb onto Jarrett on the ladder. He hit some good spots, hit some good moves off the ladder. Like one moment of the match, Jarrett was climbing the ladder to get the bell. Hardy jumped off one ladder outside the ring, drop kicked Jeff Jarrett off of another ladder inside the ring. That was kind of good. Then you got interference by Scott Hall. He hit Hardy with the edge. The former Razor's Edge / the Outsider's Edge. Hit the edge onto Jeff Hardy, and then Hardy did he kind of jumped off a ladder onto Scott Hall. Then they were fighting on the tallest ladder. Him and Jeff Jarrett. I don't think Jeff Jarrett fought in a ladder match. He ended up competing in ladder matches years later when he was in the King of the Ring, not King of the Ring, King of the Mountain matches in those Slammiversities several years later. I don't know if that was Jeff Jarrett's first ladder match, in his career. Even though he was going to end up competing in those King of the Mountain matches, in those mid to late 2000s in TNA, plus one more time in 2015. That's another story for another time. Anyway, so out comes Kevin Nash. I think Jarrett grabbed his silver guitar. Kevin Nash carried two guitars, and this is a heel turn. And here's the predictable part. Kevin Nash gives Scott Hall one guitar. Nash, Hall, and Jarrett hit Jeff Hardy with the guitar, and Jeff Jarrett climbed the ladder and wins the ladder match, regains the world title belt, and retains the title. So yeah, I'll get to that part later on. So afterwards, Kevin Nash says we're back. It might not be the start of Planet Jarrett. This is basically the genesis of Planet Jarrett. That's Jeff Jarrett's group at the time. That was formed the start of the next year. So Nash was on the mic, says we're back. He challenged someone to come out of the ring. Out comes AJ Styles. They end up beating down AJ Styles. Out come Freelite Crew. Jarrett, Nash, and Hall hit their finishers. I think Jarrett hit Conan with the stroke. I think Hall hit, it was Truth or BB James with the edge. I think Hall hit Truth with the Jackknife Powerbomb. And then we got this mysterious opponent wearing the leather jacket. I think at the time the teasing that was Sting, because you won't see Sting again for another 2 more years. But instead, the mysterious opponent left his limousine. You don't see the face. And out comes the TNA debut of Macho Man Randy Savage. This is his first appearance in a major wrestling company since WCW in 1999. He was supposed to return to WCW in 2001, but unfortunately WCW went out of business. So it's good to see. I think at the time, it's good to see. It's good to see Macho Man Randy Savage return to mainstream wrestling after several years away from wrestling. He appeared in, a cameo in Spider-Man 2 in 2002. He's about to get in the ring to save the babyfaces, but the security guards, one of them is Don Harris, one half of the Harris twins, the former Creative Control, that's Patrick and Gerald, Skull and 8 Ball in DOA and WWF, and the Beverly Brothers. So it's good to see Randy Savage in not WWE, but I mean TNA. I think it's probably one of the biggest debuts in TNA at the time. They always play this debut in their video package. If they do their best of TNA moments. Anyway, so I think it's kind of a way to get the fans leaving the arena happier, or happy. Going back to this match, like I said, it was very predictable. They say Kevin Nash is not gonna show up. Ding ding. I knew he's going to show up, not at the time. Wasn't there at the time, but I think it was very predictable that Jeff Jarrett is going to retain, and he did. Nash turned heel. The former members of NWO 2000 reunited. This is set up a 6-man, I think it was a 6-man tag team match at Turning Point the following month, it was Jarrett, Holly Nash taking on Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles. I think it was one member of Freelite Crew. I might be wrong. You have to wait and find out when I reviewed final Turning Point 2004. So yeah, it's a shame for Jeff Hardy. Never won the NWA World Title Belt. He'll never get one sniff of the NWA World Heavyweight Title Belt again and the main event scene ever again in TNA until he came back to the company 7 years later. So it's just like, yeah, it's just basically predictable that, it's the way have Jarrett retaining the belt. The fans leave home disappointed or kinda happier to see Macho Man Randy Savage making his TNA debut. So overall, my final rating for TNA Victory Road 2004, the first ever TNA pay-per-view, I'm gonna give it I have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a thumbs up of a pay-per-view. Not a great show, but a good show to watch. Let's start with the bad. Let's get the negative outweigh first. The midget match was like crap. Trinity versus Jacqueline, that was crap as well. It's basically make Jacqueline like a dope, losing her first match in the company. The Piper's Pit match, not Piper's Pit match, the Piper's Pit segment with Piper, Snuka, Cash, Kazarian, Michael Shane, and Sanjay Dutt, was pointless. No one got over. Save it on weekly TV or weekly wrestling TV. The OK is the OK. The 8-man tag team match, Naturals, Dallas, and Kid Cash taking on Truth, Johnny B. Bad, and Pat Kenny and Johnny. Did I say Johnny B. Bad? Yeah. Eric Watts. Forgot about him. And Eric Watts, The 8-man tag team match from earlier, like I said, it was okay. Nothing special. Sizzle but not steak. And the last tag team standing match between Triple X versus America Most Wanted, okay, but that rules really hinder this match of its full potential. But the good is the good. I really enjoy this mostly the matches of the show. I felt like the X Division 20-man gauntlet match was awesome. It's hard to say which one's the match of the night. Freelite Crew winning the NWA World Tag Team titles. Freelite Crew versus Team Canada was decent, even though the match was a bit short. I still put it in the good. And PT Williams versus AJ Styles for the X Division Championship. That was also awesome to watch, even though it was hindered by interference by Scott D'Amore. And the main event between Hardy versus Jarrett in a ladder match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. It was good, it was fun, but it was predictable that Jeff Jarrett's going to retain. So anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed my review of TNA Victory Road 2004. Leave your thoughts on the comment section below. What's your thoughts on this pay-per-view? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash like button, click like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more.